What's up, everybody? Welcome to Ink Drink Think, Episode 10, Part 2, the Batman episode. I am your host, Michael Pickard, joined, by always, by my wonderfully talented co-hosts and friends, Johnny Wise. Johnny, you have the floor. Mr. 90s heartthrob.
Yeah, dude.
That's some good flow.
Yeah, and you can do a lot with it right now as well. It's real.
Damn, man, you got
malleable.
some texture.
It's looking good, man. Damn.
Yeah.
You look like 90s Jared Leto.
Yeah. I'll take
You
that.
look like
Not his biggest
2016
fan, but I'll take
Suicide
that
Squad
one.
Jared Leto.
Yeah, let me just write damaged on my head.
Right, got the tattoos. Yeah.
Just with a Sharpie. So I am drawing a real noirish kind of take on Batman, trying to like nail down my definitive take on Batman. It's funny you mentioned the Batman earlier with Robert Pattinson because I'm taking a lot of cues from that. Pretty excited by that movie, and I'm doing like a murdery kind of piece, real like
Excellent.
stiletto in the chest. There's a stiletto to the chest involved in it, so getting into it.
Did you say
I'm getting
murdery?
somewhere with it. Murdery, yeah,
Wow.
real murdery.
Like it.
Are you still drinking your Moscow Mules, or are you pacing yourself now?
I've finished off the Moscow Mule. Yeah, that's just melted ice now. But like the last
tasty.
episode, I got a little bit wobbly, so I'm pacing it this time.
We've all been there on the show.
Yeah. Just can't draw by the end.
Yeah. Or if you're me, I can't speak by the end, which is never a
Yeah.
good thing. Of course, guys, we're also joined by fellow co-host and friend, Nate Wells. Nate, buddy, you're up.
Hey guys, Nate Wells. I'm drawing Batman hanging a guy over a rooftop. He's like kind of got him. He's like holding his face, and he's not gonna drop him. You know, probably.
He's not?
You know, maybe. I don't know. I actually went back and forth whether or not I was gonna draw in like a rope, like a grapple rope tied around the guy somehow, so you knew as the viewer he wasn't in any danger. But I didn't do it, so he's in danger, like a lot of danger.
Wow.
It's either Batman like being really scary to someone, or just violently saving a guy. Is how you could read this piece.
I like that take that Batman saves people, but when he does it, he's like hitting you while he does it.
You're gonna
He's
have
pulling you from a
you're
burning
gonna have
building,
some
and he's like,
bruises.
take this.
Yeah. You're gonna dislocate something if Batman saves you. I didn't get quite as far as I wanted to in the last episode, the last part. Really, by part 2, I wanted to just kind of be like doing some of the details on the rooftop, but I've got a lot of the Batman's cape to still draw. And when I was doing the pencils, I kind of left a lot of that up to what I was feeling in the moment, and now I'm regretting that because I don't know what's gonna happen. But we'll see. We'll see. And I'm like in the last part, I'm drinking my what's it called? Stash IPA. Out of
What's
my,
it called? Beer?
yeah, beer. My Superman Powerful Pickup Lines pint glass. I don't know if I have any new ones for you guys. Yeah, I don't know. Want to see why they call me the Man of Steel? I've probably said that one. They're all bad.
You're
They're
getting
all
stale,
really
my
bad.
friend. You're getting stale with these.
I know. I think I've done them all. I'm gonna have to come up
these-
with some.
That one was new to me. I haven't heard that one. So
Yeah.
I'll,
They're just. I love Superman, and I don't like to see him cheapened by this, but it's my favorite pint glass. So what am I gonna do?
You got to start writing your own for the next episodes. If you're running
Yeah,
out,
I guess I will. Yeah, I think I'm out. I don't know, unless I'm just missing one. Mike is not impressed.
Listen, man, I've checked your
not
Tinder
taking Mike
profile.
out.
I've checked it. It's linked below, and I'm just saying, you got to get some better material if you're going to get more traffic to it.
Yeah, man. Like I said, that's my only social media, and it is definitely linked below. This is the pickup scene now. It's Comics Art Podcast with 5 dudes. This is the pickup scene.
Of course, guys, joining us as well, our own Todd Blackwood.
I added Batman, and I might have to turn the opacity down. Let's see, but I
That's looking
did a
great.
future Gothic Batman. There's his outfit,
Damn.
and I'm thinking of it as like a hologram that shows up, but otherwise he's all black. It's funny because it started out as my I was like, Batman should have a stealth suit. Then I was like, wait a minute, Batman is a stealth suit. Like, then I thought, how could I make a more stealthy version of a stealth suit? And I thought, oh well, what if it lights up and kind of like Iron Man's armor? It forms over his body.
That is super slick.
And that's
that's awesome.
I'm pretty happy with it. So I put it in front of the Batmobile here, and adding some speed lines stuff.
Yeah, I could see that as like the suit he develops before he develops like the Batman Beyond suit or something.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the one that he develops after he's jealous of the Batman Beyond.
Or that.
Yeah.
Damn kid running around looking cool.
Yeah.
I was thinking it was the suit he wears when he goes to other cities and doesn't want people to know Batman's in town.
Oh yeah.
So
That's
my
a good
idea
point.
is that he goes to wherever the Question is and wants to go talk to the Question, but doesn't want everybody to know that he's there. So he wears this sort of it's Batman, but it's not the loud Batman that is in Gotham, shall we say?
Yeah.
There's I don't know. So many ways you can do Batman.
That's a great take,
It was
Todd.
fun. That's fun stuff.
I love it, man. I'm so
love
excited
the
to see how
question.
you push it more in this episode. But I'll jump to myself real quick because, of course, if you watched part 1, you'll see that we have a 5th member joining us today. But before we get to that, I'm Michael Pickard. Tonight I'm doing a Dark Knight Returns piece. Go check out part 1. You can see me inking Batman and Robin, Carrie Kelly Robin. And in this episode, I'm going to be doing the line work for some of the backdrop of Gotham City. I'm doing a nighttime scene, which of course makes sense for Batman. But the city is going to be underlit, and so are the figures, which is something I don't tackle very often. But of course makes sense for a nighttime superhero heroic action scene. So I'm interested to see how I play around with the buildings and the effects of how the light from the streets below are coming up and hitting them. But we'll find out how that works out in this part 2 of episode 10. But like I mentioned, guys, we have a very special guest joining us today, a 5th member, and that is none other than comic book pro, the 5th Beatle, the secret 5th Beatle, Matt Battaglia. Matt, you are up, my friend.
Thank you again for having me on. This is a lot of fun. I am drawing a also a Dark Knight Returns inspired Batman piece. I'm excited to get into finishing it. I'm going to get some Zipatone out. I'm going to do some lettering. We're going to get pretty wild here, so I'm really excited. And I've got the toothbrush, so some spatter is happening.
Get ready, Joker. Hygiene is going to be your weakness.
I'm excited.
Dude, that's awesome. I'm so excited to see you use Zipatone because that's going to be the first time on the show anybody's attempted that.
Yeah.
Oh, no one's thrown any zips around?
Never.
No.
Now, oh boy, I can't wait to talk some
Anybody
zips.
own Zipatone?
Well, it's yeah. Come on.
Man, talk about cool mediums that we're about to be exposed to.
It's not even. I mean, they don't make the old Zipatone anymore, but I got stacks.
Yeah, man.
That's awesome. I'm gonna pick your brain a lot about the Zipatone usage.
Okay.
Because I've been fascinated by it, and I've watched people use it online, whether it's through Instagram or YouTube. But I've never actually been able to talk to someone who's had experience using it. So I'm crazy excited you're breaking it out for tonight.
I love using it. I mean, I use it on almost anything that I'm doing just for my own fun. It's my favorite thing. It just is a nice way to add a little depth and you know, and it's just and it's I just always think that it, like, makes the original artwork look so much cooler.
Yeah, I've definitely played with like that effect digitally
Yeah,
but yeah,
same.
I think you're right. If anytime you can enhance the original, is that's really cool, because a lot of times my originals are sort of garbage, and then the what I post on Instagram is like the pretty piece, but I can never sell the original.
But I kind of feel like the mistakes and the the like that stuff, it gives it gives it a lot of the work more a lot of character. And I always feel like sometimes and I don't, let me know if you guys feel this way. It's like when you scan a piece in, it doesn't always look like, and you do levels and all that stuff. I don't always feel like it doesn't always look the same, and it doesn't always feel the same. Like there's something that kind of gets lost when you do when you convert it.
Yeah, I was really struck by
it's
and
like
I talked about this a little bit on the Pulp episode. I went to the Fred Harmon Museum in Colorado. He was the
Okay.
guy who did the Red Ryder comic strip, and the museum's just this little house with it. It was the house he lived in. It's got his studio in it. They've like preserved that, and it's got all these original comics pages on the wall. And I was really taken by how much whiteout he used. And that was one of the cooler parts of seeing those original pages, was like seeing the instances in the art where he thought he needed to maybe go over something again or revise something. And that's something you don't get even in necessarily like an artist edition of a book where it's just a black and white line art. And yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It does add like the character to the piece.
And I mean, I saw
the process.
Right, and you can see like all these weird things that people do to get it. I saw some of the old like they had a Marvel like comics exhibit that came through Philly and one of the museums, and they had all sorts of original art, and it was incredible seeing like they had a couple Sterenkos, they obviously had some Miller Jansen stuff, they had a bunch of like Kirby stuff, and it was so cool seeing like you can see where people used X-Actos to paste in different things, and the line work's so sharp. Like they had the Ramita Death of Gwen Stacy pages.
Oh, wow.
And like the figure work and stuff was so crazy good, but like you don't see half of that detail in any reproductions. I totally creeped out. The exit through the gift shop, obviously, and they had all these like comics in the gift shop, and there were some kids looking at the comics, and they were looking at, I was like, that's junk, and I was looking through the comics too, and my wife's standing sort of in the background, and they had like old issues of the Nom and stuff. I'm like saying to the kids, this is what you want to bring home. Like, buy this stuff. Not that junk. You're
don't bother with that superhero nonsense.
Here's the Nom, and it's amazing because that is a Marvel comic. And it's like I think so it was just funny. They were probably looking at some like some new nonsense, and I was saying like, look, this violent comic about Vietnam is the one to read. And just
that's amazing.
Anything by Michael Golden.
Yeah.
What did those original Sterenkos look like? Are they as incredible?
I mean, they were incredible. I think they only had like a page from. I feel like they had one Nick Fury piece, and they might have like had a Captain America piece, but I think they had the one. It's like there's it had all the collage elements, so that was cool to see.
Yeah.
It's one. It's got a clock on it. It's definitely a Nick Fury piece, but. You know the one I'm talking about?
Is that the like almost Dali-esque one where he's like running towards the?
Yes.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
Yes.
Yeah, wow.
So they had that one, and that was super cool.
Yeah, I met a girl in passing once when I was a
through this
political
channel.
cartoonist, Yeah. Luckily, yeah. No. When I was a political cartoonist, I met this girl, and she had kind of lived all over the country, and she was a big fan of what I was doing, just like in cartooning. And I mentioned I was a big like comics guy, and I ultimately wanted to do like comics. And she said, "Well, do you know this guy Jim Steranko?" And I said, "Well, yeah." And she said, "Oh, I know him. Like we've had dinner a few times, and like I know." And she was like, "Do you want his email?" Yeah, I want his email. And she never got back to me.
No.
I was like, "You're killing me." She was like, "Yeah, I think that it would be really cool if you guys like could connect." And I was like, "Yeah, I think that would be really cool at the very least."
And she broke your heart.
Yeah. And she sent me a picture of like her and Jim Steranko like at a restaurant, just like having a good time.
Hanging
Like,
out.
yeah, I know him. I was like,
Wow.
dude.
Yeah. How did she know?
I don't know how they actually met. But she just mentioned, she was like, "Yeah, I met this guy that did comics. Do you know him?" And she dropped the name, and I was like, "Are you kidding?"
I think that's the funniest thing about comics, though, is like people who are like celebrities in our minds who like comics. To a normal person, they'd be like, "That looks like a hobo."
Yeah. That's me and Mike kind of had this conversation the other day about how like we hold these people in super high regard, but really, they're not. It's not like you're hitting up Tom Hanks. If you
Right.
message someone on Instagram,
Yeah.
like they're kind of normal middle class people, typically.
Yeah.
Well, Nate, it's also, I think we've had this conversation before too about like, if I would ever be famous, I'd want it to be comic book famous. Where I know Mark Miller has touched upon the fact that he's like, I can go to the grocery store and nobody knows me. And then I can walk into a Hall H convention and I'm the biggest superstar on the planet. And I was like, that is ideal. You're like recognized for what you do by the people who like that thing, but nobody on the street knows who the hell you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still want to go to Target sometimes,
Sometimes you gotta.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think comics famous is the perfect amount of famous, where like your fans know you, and you'll feel really validated if somebody recognizes you if you're at Chili's, but you can also still just go to Chili's,
As long as you stay off the Twitter, you're fine.
Yeah.
And I was looking for a segue into a very Batman-themed question I had for you all, which is, for everybody, not just for you, but for everybody.
For you, Todd.
For you, Todd. This is for you.
Oh.
Everybody else, leave. This is getting saucy.
Oh my God.
What existing films do you think could take place within the Batman universe? So, Todd brought up Brad Pitt. I will make the argument that the Ocean's movies would be really cool set within the Batman mythos. Because while they don't have to be called the Royal Flush Gang, you could imagine Danny Ocean's team being this casino heist group that hits casinos within Gotham City.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have two that I'm going to pull out here, and I think you guys are going to immediately agree with me on these polls if you've seen the movies. But the Staffy Brothers 2 films, Good Time and Uncut Gems, I think fit within Gotham City.
Good.
Oh yeah.
Is Uncut Gems?
I haven't seen either, but I believe you.
Yeah, just the way that the criminals act in those movies feel so much larger than life, but grounded, that they're not like, building super weapons or anything like that. They're not, planning to take over the city, but they're grimy in a sense that like you could see Batman taking down these people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I was gonna say, was anyone else gonna say 7?
Nope, I was not.
Oh, right.
Oh.
I
That
agree
makes
with
sense.
that completely. Yeah.
I think it every time I watch 7.
How's David Fincher not made a Batman movie? He seems like an obvious choice to.
Yeah, right.
He'd do a good one. I was thinking any Michael Mann movie. Like, think about like Collateral or like Heat, like just the consummate professional going up against a the professional criminal going up against Batman. Like how does that crew handle it? Would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a
that
good
would
pick.
be good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
one I would say. Oh, sorry. Go on.
No, just like the Miami Vice, like that movie, like that cop thing, like them on Gotham City PD. Like it's just a cool. I don't know. I always like them.
Yeah, that would be good. That'd be good to see.
Yeah, the one for me is Nightcrawler, that Dan Gilroy movie with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Jake Gyllenhaal's character in that movie is a Batman villain in the making. I can see him becoming a Batman villain that like somehow uses video technology to torture Gotham City.
Yeah.
It's such a bizarre movie with a guy who's clearly just messed up. Like finding wild success, and that's something that I think you could do in Gotham if you're a crazy person. Yeah, I think Jake Gyllenhaal would make a great Joker.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, him and Ryan Gosling could either. It's crazy because I think those guys could either play Joker or Batman perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ryan Gosling's an interesting one.
I was gonna say, speaking of Ryan Gosling, The Notebook could absolutely take place in the Batman. That's a joke. Completely kidding. But Drive could.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, Drive. That would be good.
Oh my god, I love that.
Oh, a chase between Batman and the driver from from Drive would be phenomenal. Yeah, from the movie Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Nicholas Winding Refn could make a good, like, crazy, dark, weirdly kinky Batman movie.
Yeah.
That's what Batman Forever is.
Yeah, right.
That's and upon
Batman
rewatching
Forever
it,
the remake.
upon rewatching that movie,
well, actually, yeah.
that movie is unbearably horny. Unbearably so. That movie's insane. I don't know how that movie got made.
Yeah, I feel like going back to Batman, the Nicole Kidman character in Batman Forever, it's so weird that she doesn't she know Bruce Wayne and Batman?
She does.
It's weird that she like wants to bang Batman and not Bruce Wayne. She's like, nah, Batman's where it's at. I'm like, no, he's a creature of the night. He's a monster.
Well, no, my favorite line in the movie is she says something along the lines of like, I've always had a thing for bad boys. I guess that explains my profession. And I stopped the movie and was like, you're a psychologist. Are you like using your platform to like meet men? Like, are you pulling a Nate? Are you pulling a Nate here? Like, what is going on? Like,
that is wild.
It was like, who wrote that? Oh my god!
Batman should have like heard her say that and then be like, "You're an awful person."
You're a bad person.
Yeah,
you're a monster.
You should not be treating patients.
Yeah, I'd like to end my consultation on Tuesday. Yeah, Jesus, that line made me like stutter. I was like, what?
But isn't that an element that's missing in the modern stuff? Like that just absolute sheer silliness, like of like that whole character, that whole movie is just silly.
Yeah, actually, that brings up one of the questions I wanted to ask you guys, which is about your preference of Batman, in the sense that he's had so many iterations that range from goofy, silly, funny, dark, serious, gritty, murderous, and then every range of value in between. Do you guys have a preference? I know there's a place for every version of Batman, but in your mind, like your take on Batman, what is it in terms of that that tonal scale?
Yeah, I would say mine is probably, like, cinematically speaking, it's probably more in line with what Chris Nolan did, but more character based than plot based. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think Batman is one of the few comics characters that really functions in like a more or less real world. I love the more fantastic Batman stories where it is, very super heroic and there's like supernatural things. But since he is just a guy, he is one of the few characters that really can just live in, a world where, there may not even be any superpowers.
Yeah, I agree. I've already said it, but I'm real excited for the Robert Pattinson Batman movie. From the trailer, that looks like exactly the vibe that I like from Batman. And the only thing I would say that I think we've mentioned on the Instagram chat before, I think me and you, Todd, talked about it. I'm really excited by the idea that maybe in future films they like keep that tone, but then start going a bit more like supernatural, like chucking a man bat or something would be really fun in that. I think.
Yeah.
But I really like the way they're going with the Riddler at the moment, where he's like the Zodiac killer. That's great, I think.
Yeah.
I gotta watch that trailer more carefully because it looked great, but I really didn't understand what was going on.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched it like 100 times by now.
Yeah.
I'm such a loser.
Yeah. Like that for me.
Yeah,
was
I like
the
that.
big heartbreak was the Nolan trilogy. What's that?
I was just saying, I like
What'd you say?
the Matt Reeves, like the Pattinson Batman looked neat. That's all.
Yeah, I'm
Sorry,
rooting
I
for
didn't
it.
mean
I
to-
want it to be good. I want to this. Oh, it's fine. Stuff I've seen, I just like that looks right. I hope I've heard some crazy stories about all these problems I seem to be having on set, and I hope it's blown out of proportion.
Oh yeah, I have read about that.
But for me,
by the
like
sounds of it, is rumor. Apparently, that's not true.
Yeah, I don't know why those rumors are sticking and flying, but
Yeah,
for me, like the Christopher Nolan movies, the big heartbreak was that I did want to see Superman and Mr. Freeze and all that stuff finally show up. And they went from Dark Knight Rises to Man of Steel, and it just seemed like it was not in the same universe. And
Yeah.
it went from like Godfather to TV movie. And I know I just Zack Snyder, I don't care about any of his movies, and God bless him.
Oh man, me neither.
But
I mean, no disrespect to him, but I don't think he's ever done a really good superhero movie.
300?
No, he's everything. I think you shouldn't be doing.
300 is all right, I think.
Movies and yeah, Pixar has rules for writing. 22 rules of Pixar, and one of them is don't write cool. And to me, Zack Snyder's entire problem is he makes movies with the first question is, wouldn't it be cool if? And to me, it's like, no, that's not how story works. Don't do that.
Yeah, you are speaking exactly how I feel about it.
Story driven.
Yeah.
That's what I love about 300, though, is that it's just the coolest movie ever made.
Yeah.
It's the most badass movie ever made. And every frame of that movie is like, how fucking just cool and badass can we make it? And that's why that movie worked for me, is because it's ridiculous.
I think that works for 300.
But it's also...
but then when he tries to make Watchmen...
It works for 300.
And he's just like, cool. And it's like completely the wrong vibe. Like, you shouldn't really be...
Yeah.
I do think Watchmen, like, the actual story of Watchmen is I don't think it's adaptable.
No, I kind of agree.
I thought the HBO show did an interesting thing.
I think it's adaptable as a TV miniseries.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought the HBO show was great.
Say that last part.
That's exactly it, isn't it? They don't actually do the actual story.
Yeah, it's a sequel. It's not adaptation, which I think is why it succeeded in what it was trying to do.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Okay.
we can include live action into this whole range, but Todd, you're drawing the Batmobile. For you guys,
I am.
what is your favorite Batmobile? It's a newer inclusion, but I think, honestly, Sean Gordon Murphy's Batmobile from the White Knight comics might be my favorite.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
the perfect amalgamation of modern tactical design that, Batman v Superman used and the Nolan movies used. And even Dark Knight Returns tank, to some extent, was a tactical Batmobile.
Yeah.
But it also has the sleek, cool race car vibes of your Keaton or, your Batman the Animated Series. I think that design is like the ideal Batmobile for me.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
that
do
is a
think
good
that's an unfair choice because Sean Gordon Murphy drawing cars is almost always the best car.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That guy
no question.
fucking loves drawing the car, right?
I'll have to look it up. I haven't seen it.
It's so
And it
cool.
works because of all the things that you said, where it's got just a little bit of everything in it, and it's like, that's what really makes it happen.
Yeah, it has every element you'd want from a Batmobile. Like, if you were to describe the Batmobile to someone who had never heard or seen Batman before, that's what you would get.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, it's the car from Blade Runner, is what it is.
That
Yeah,
too.
it's got a lot of Blade Runner.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or am I mistaken?
No, I think you're on point with that too.
Interesting. I don't hate it, but I don't love it as much as you guys. But I also, I love his drawing though.
There's also like a bunch of them in that book too.
Yeah, that is the cool scene from the first volume, isn't it?
I'm really excited about the one going back to the new movie. I have, and I think I've expressed this to you guys before. Warner Brothers somehow has stolen a sketchbook from me, and the Wonder Woman costume that's in the movies, I designed it, and the Batmobile in the new movie, I pretty much designed it because I thought it would be really cool if it was just like a muscle car, a lot like what Todd's drawing right now. Which just means that like I have ideas that other people have, and it's fine. But when the BVS trailer that revealed Wonder Woman, or maybe they released a photo before, but when they revealed Wonder Woman, I was like, "You've got to be fucking kidding me! Where's my check, Warner Brothers? Because I designed that costume." And I can't back it up because I have no idea where that sketchbook is from like 2014.
Well, they stole it.
It exists and they stole it, and I'm mad.
It's in their vault.
DC offices. Yeah, you forgot to write your name in it. They got a big check for you, but they don't know.
I know, yeah, I know. Yeah,
you're artist X.
I need to watch the credits for Batman v Superman and Wonder Woman again to see if I'm credited.
Random sketchbook
Batmobile
number 4.
design. Question mark, question mark.
I need to put. I'm gonna start putting that on my resume. Yeah.
I designed the Batmobile.
Yeah. It's on my resume already.
Wow, Sean Gordon Murphy's great.
All right,
Oh yeah.
I am laying down some tones now.
Oh boy.
That's where we're at.
There we go. There we go.
So Matt.
Mhm.
Are you taking an X-Acto knife to score that?
Yeah, you just cut it out. It's like it's just on like it's just like an adhesive. So you
Yeah.
you just cut it out. You cut off the piece that you need, and the one thing that you have to do is always cut a little bit bigger than of a shape than you need, because otherwise you end up undercutting it, and then you don't have enough, and then that's then it's tough to fill it in, and etc. So, and then you just peel it off. Like so. Granted, I did not need it to go over all the black, but it's a lot easier to just cut out a really big piece and a bunch of small pieces.
Do you ever worry about when you're scoring it that you're going to cut through to the page, or?
Nah, I've never had that happen. So.
I don't know if I trust myself not to do that.
No, you gotta. I mean, you don't really need to cut it that hard. It's pretty thin stuff. So, and then the main thing is you kind of gotta make sure you get all the air bubbles out. But I think that like this stuff, the adhesive doesn't last. Like it used to be, the brand was called Zipatone, and like I think that the adhesive backing on the original zips was I think much better, and like this stuff, you know, won't stick for as long. I think I probably have like pieces from like middle school that I use like original zips on that are probably still on the page, whereas there are things that I've done in the past few years with this stuff that they've fallen off of. So
Yeah, that's unfortunate. That's kind of like the nightmare, I think, as a brush artist. I'm like, what if they just stop making the brushes that I like?
right.
Like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
That's the thing that's worrisome, and that's like it almost like gives you this hoarder mentality of I don't know when they're gonna stop doing it, so I gotta stock up. Like even paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Like I don't know, maybe they stop making Bristol and they they just stop making like the size that you like working on.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna say actually, Matt, what paper do you use?
I'm using I think this is smooth. Right? Yeah, this is smooth. But this is just a 9x12. It's it's the Bristol, the yellow.
Like the Strathmore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like working smaller because I can work a lot faster. I don't like 11x17 takes forever.
Yeah, I've actually just recently, the last like 2 or maybe 3 episodes, I've started working on 11x17
Oh yeah?
for this show. Because I was doing 11x14. That's my favorite size to do like commissions on and stuff. But I just ran out and
Yeah.
don't want to go 2 blocks down the street to get more.
That's fair.
And I could cut this and it would be 11x14, but I just haven't done it. But I've also done like compositions that I feel like I like a little more room with, maybe.
Yeah.
But the paper I'm using right now, the Bristol board, doesn't have much of a tooth to it.
Which is it?
And the
Brand.
it's just like it's Strathmore.
Okay.
But it's like the 300 series 11x17.
Mm-hmm.
The 11x14 is it's got like a different. It's still smooth surface, but it always seems like I'd have to actually look at the cover of it to see if there actually is a difference. I think there is, but the 11x17s are like a little more smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have that same problem. Is I love working on the 11x14, and I use the 11x17 for like actual page work, and I've run out of 11x14. So everything I've been doing recently has been cut up 11x17. But the 11x14 has such a better texture. Like
it's got a little more texture to it. I haven't been able to find it yet in the larger size. I think if I move to like the 500 series from Strathmore, you can get, and I've played around a little bit with like the vellum surface stuff.
That's what I use.
And I don't dislike that, so I might just move to that, but I'd have to order it just because where I'm at,
Oh,
I don't have many options.
I am using the vellum surface. That's what I'm using.
Yeah.
That's what I'm using. And that's, I think, what I use for everything. Yeah.
I like the vellum surface.
Oh, I work on I got Yeah, this is a 9x12. I like the 11x14s for comics pages. I mean, I have done comics pages on 9x12, but it does get a little cramped.
Yeah, the pages you were showing earlier didn't look like 11 by 17. So
No.
yeah, that's I was gonna ask you, yeah, what is, because I just do sort of I do all my pages on 11 by 17. What do you think is the benefit of doing it smaller?
Speed. Like this I did on 11x17.
Just speed.
Yeah. This is 11 by
Uh-huh.
17. It took me forever. This is a 9x12. I did it and I did this in like a 2-hour sitting. That's a 9x12.
Right. Okay.
So
Yeah, I used to have a weird thing where I couldn't draw things like large
yeah.
when I was younger. And now I really struggle drawing smaller panels on pages.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go larger than 11 by 17. I
No,
don't think
it's-
I ever want to do that because because it's just going to eat up too much of my time and be too tedious probably. But sometimes with the smaller panels, it just turns into like, I don't know how to maybe delete enough detail from this where it still looks like me,
Right.
but also reads.
Well, that is a tough thing with working like 9x12. I use 11x14 for stuff that's not just for me. Like I've used 9x12 for stuff that I feel like is more like on the personal end of the spectrum. Like I
Mhm.
guess like where I don't doesn't have to be super clean and it can just be more. It's more for me expressing something. But then like 11, I kind of need a little bit more room to make anything a little bit cleaner. And yeah,
Right.
it does make a huge
Does
difference.
the
Though.
Paul Pope work really big?
Yeah. Oh gosh, the original that I have of his, it's like an 18x24 page. It's crazy.
Oh wow.
Hold on.
Yeah, that's big. Yeah.
Oops, let me show you. Oh, I'll show you this. Like
Yeah, I
it's
think
not gonna fit in the
when I
camera.
switched to like being a brush artist
Right,
is
here.
when I really struggle drawing small things.
Here you go. Okay, hold on. I'll show you because it's enormous and like it's not even. It's not like a super complex piece either. Yeah,
Whoa.
That's in
right. It's huge.
Yeah.
That's
Wow,
my
that's
hand.
huge.
wow.
Oh my god.
So it's huge.
Now, is that two
Sure.
pages
How-
side by side? Is that like a spread?
How-
or
No,
is
it's
that-
just one
Yeah.
piece. It's
Oh
just
my
one.
It's just the one, yeah.
It's just one page.
Holy crap.
Wow. Is it square?
No, he
It
does-
looks square.
No, I think it's rectangular.
It does
I think
look
it's-
a little more square.
Wow.
Yeah, it's enormous.
Wow. Holy
Wow.
crap. That's
Yeah.
like getting to
So
like
I-
painterliness in terms of like your work. Like you have to have like an
It's-
easel at that point.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that battling book that he did, also the pages are like that big, and so you really it is wild like when you think about working at that size.
Yeah. And I know some artists like working at like actual size. So
Yeah.
like the pages are, like 6x10 or whatever. And I'm like,
That's-
that's crazy too.
Yeah.
I mean, my always worrying with working big is I feel like there's too much temptation to overwork things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Sure.
That's why I draw with a brush now, is so that I can't, You
Yeah.
can get a pretty fine line with if you use a brush that works for you. But yeah, that I used to crosshatch a lot when I mostly use pens, and I crosshatched a lot, and it just took forever, and I wasn't particularly happy with it. And I switched to a brush, and I was like, oh, I don't have to draw as much now.
Right.
And like the artists that I really like use brush. Like I mentioned before, I'm a huge Mazzucchelli fan. He was maybe the first one to really turn me on to using a brush. But I also love, I mentioned him before, also John Paul Leon and Tommy Lee Edwards is a huge influence on me.
But he's a big brush guy, Tommy Lee.
Yeah. His rendering is often almost entirely in like dry brush.
It's incredible the way he
Yeah.
handles it.
Yeah, I hope that I don't like sort of like rip some of his surface stuff too obviously sometimes. And sometimes I definitely do, but
Matt, is there an artist that you reference more often than others? I know for all of us, there are various artists that we look to in terms of like, well, how did that person handle this because they're an influence on me, or how did this person do it because I like the way they capture a certain mood? Like, who are your influences within this comic field?
So it seems to depend entirely on what I'm trying to do. I've been reading a ton of Hugo Pratt lately because I've been working on like some of the stuff that I've been trying to kick around in my head are more like adventure strip type stuff, and like I love the swashbuckling like rip roaring adventure of a Corto Maltese, and I also I don't know that I try to pull his style at all because it's I don't know that that's how I draw, but it's that the feel that he gets is I think always it's cool. And then as far as drawing, I mean, I've been digging back into like a lot of like old, like I really love when Klaus Janson draws and inks himself. The line quality that he gets on his own stuff is incredible. So that's sort of what I've been checking out a lot lately. But definitely the Corto Maltese stuff is really what I've been really digging.
That's awesome. I can totally see the Klaus Janson influence for sure.
Yeah.
Because he's a lot more wild than I think people give him credit for. I think his expressionistic movements and his brushwork and line work is just out there, and it's awesome.
That's the other thing too, is that sometimes you need to check. I like it's sort of what stories are you trying to tell, and like maybe you're not trying to pick up how's this person draw, but you're trying to like see like how do they like tackle these storytelling problems,
right?
And that's another thing that I find is important. So
that's a lot of times the best thing you can pick up from an artist. Going back to Tommy Lee Edwards, I watched an interview with him where he sort of like implored young artists to stop looking at comics and start looking at life if you want to get better.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, yeah, that's absolutely right.
Tommy Lee Edwards?
Yeah, Tommy Lee Edwards. And I still think it's valid to look at other artists for the storytelling and for the problem-solving aspects that you can learn from them. Whereas, like, just base drawing, you should probably not always just look at other artists.
Right.
Because you'll just end up aping whatever they're doing. But, you can, I mean, obviously you can learn from, like, the problem-solving and in comics, definitely, like, just layout stuff from other people.
Yeah, but you're right. That's a you don't want to you want to find what your own mistakes are, like, and not just ape other people's mistakes.
Right.
Because that's what style is, isn't it? It's like, what do you kind of choose to do differently than, like, you're not trying to draw a perfect life drawing. You're trying to do something different.
Yeah, it's
I think that's
that.
Frank Miller said that.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about like the aspiration of potentially teaching art someday, at like a university level, just for this hypothetical, and thinking about like how would you explain to somebody what the job of an illustrator is. And I was thinking about how it's more so you should know what something looks like, but your job is tricking people into thinking that's what they're looking at. So like when you say like style, it's like how are you approaching like a wheel or a car, for example, that the audience looks at it and goes, "Oh yeah, it's a wheel," but really it's a series of lines and ink dots on a page. You know.
I got some really good advice from a drawing professor of mine. I took 2 of his life drawing courses in college, and he said, yeah, because the class is mostly just looking at a model and drawing the model.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, obviously, like when you look back at your page and you're drawing it, you're not looking at the model. He said, so the number one thing to take away from this class, or at least the number one thing I took away from his class, was he always said, draw what you know about what you see.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, wow, that's actually that's really kind of profound. Like, look at it, but then, in a way I took it as like, simplify it, break it down. And so and that was a big thing for me, like moving into brush. Like, you can't just render something to shit if you kind of have more broader strokes to play with.
Yeah.
Yeah. And going back to what Mike said, I always feel like I've done the right thing, and I'm like, yeah, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. When like he said about, I can't remember what you said, Mike, but basically,
it's all right,
I feel like for me, it's a big, it's a big jump for me when I'm drawing something, and I'm like, yeah, that may not look, that's not like a photo referenced like picture of it, but if I've drawn something, I'm like, I know how that would feel, like the cloth. I feel like I'm doing cloth pretty well on Batman here.
Yeah.
And without going too X-rated in terms of how it would feel, I feel like the trunks are pretty. I'm like, yeah, that was.
No, describe it to me.
But yeah, you know what I mean. Like when your drawing is a bit more tactile, and you're like, I don't know what I'm saying.
No. I think that's a great point, because like that's how I tackle buildings now, because I can't draw straight lines for my life, and buildings are of course like rigid structures that have to look solid, But like,
yeah,
I'll zoom in for the audience to kind of note what I'm talking about. When I draw buildings now, I try to throw caution to the wind and just draw the line and not worry about whether it's like perfectly geometrically straight. So like the windows are all super wonky, but it's not about whether or not like I'm an architect designing a building. It's like when you look at this piece, you're going to look at Batman and Robin and be like, oh yeah, they're in the city, and not even pay attention to the stuff that's happening back here. So it's like,
yeah, I was going to say, I didn't use a ruler this whole time, surprisingly. I'm a big like ruler guy, but yeah, I've been really like, I did the whole like little rooftop here like with brush, so I was like, I'm not going to use a ruler. Which means I have a lot of whiteout to get to.
Yeah, get that pro whiteout.
Yeah.
So I've been going in with it all for a while now. I wanted to say something about life drawing. It's not really much of a story. Well, one, I find that's like the fastest way to like hack levels on like with like your drawing skills of like drawing the human form.
Yeah.
Just go to a life drawing class and you will instantly level up. Like within one class, you will be better. But I grew up in the town next to right next to where the Kubert School is. So I used to take like drawing classes there as a kid, but then like after college, I took a life drawing class there, and it was a night like adults life drawing class, and Joe Kubert comes in and he sits down in the class and he's drawing, and no one else is drawing at that point because you're basically just watching Joe draw, because I mean the guy was just a total master. And then afterwards, the model goes over to Joe and asks for the picture, because you're never going to look better than how Joe Kubert draws you. Like that's that's better than anything. And he obliged.
That's the biggest compliment,
right?
Yeah, when the model wants the drawing.
Well, I mean, it's a compliment from Joe that he drew her. It was just,
Yeah.
but watching him work, it was like effortless, and he just. But you got to think like, man, that's how you keep yourself sharp, is that practice, and that you can't really replace that. And I've been meaning to go to do another like class like that, but this year it's not, man, they're not really holding them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's
yeah.
so
If I
cool
knew a
with,
life
like-
drawing course here, I would go in a heartbeat. That's one of my favorite things. Is just like sitting there for like 3 hours and just like drawing a model over and over again for like 20 seconds, a minute, 20 minutes. You know, that's just incredible. Just like boot camp fucking practice.
Yeah.
Also, I found that just drawing figures, just practicing that in general, not with the intention of it being sequential or telling any story, is like the greatest way to defeat artist block. Like anytime I've been like looking at a page and just getting hit by like waves of anxiety of like, that doesn't look right, you're not doing this right, you know, that figure, that arm, whatever, it's off. I'll like stop and I'll go and do like a figure drawing session online, because there are tons of programs that like you set a time limit and then you are flashed images and you can just draw them.
Yeah.
I'll go and do that, and I instantly feel so much looser with my ability to illustrate. Like I feel more confident because I know I'm like, oh, okay, I know what the body looks like again. It's like a refresher. And I know the Disney studios, I think that they bring in models every day for their animators.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right.
Yeah, that's one underrated thing I think in art is like access to good models. You don't really think about it, but I mean, like I draw from photos like all the time, but there's nothing quite like being in front of a model who's, it sounds weird to say, who's like alive and, you know, just doing his or her thing and having to draw it like in the moment, you know?
Yeah, dead models are fun, but like they smell after a while if you don't refrigerate them. Like if you
You
go
know-
to bed and forget to refrigerate it at night, you're just screwed.
I will draw a cadaver all day, but a live model is better.
I think you don't observe a photo the same as you do like real life.
That's definitely true.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because there's like your perspective involved when it's the real person.
Right.
And it's fun how like every person in the room is drawing the same thing, but it's different because everyone's looking at, you know, him or her at a different angle.
Well, here, Matt, why don't we jump to yours while it's drying? Because I really want to check out how the Zipatone and all of your splatter effects turned out.
And I even used some red ink too.
Oh yeah, that's perfect usage for it.
I might get rid of
Nice.
that.
Oh hell yeah!
I might get rid of that tunnel of love at the top, but I might keep it. I mean, it's just because they're in the tunnel of love, and you know, it doesn't make sense. Why would
Yeah,
sound
you changed you changed like the boat, right, from your
Yeah.
pencils.
Yeah, I made it. I don't know
Yeah,
if it's,
I'm liking that.
it's a little bit more. I think it's given a little bit more depth.
Well, it's like we're in the boat
Mhm.
looking at this
Oh, that's
tragic
true.
thing happen.
Yeah, yeah.
Tragic murder.
Well, not only that, like I think you unintentionally graphically created a credits page for like an actual story. Like in
Yeah.
the boat there, that would be where it's like created by Bill Finger and Bob Kane, and you know, story by, written by, letters by. Like you just designed like a perfectly executed credits page.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love
Glad
actually.
you're here.
I really like the way you did the water. Like that's one of my favorite elements to it.
Thanks.
Like when you're looking at your figure work, because of course that's the focal point. Like you believably get the water and even the rock of the tunnel. I think you perfectly executed. Like even when you look at it,
Thank you.
you're not looking at it like, oh, that's like white on black. That feels like the glistening wet rock that would be in a tunnel like that. So that's so cool.
Thanks.
Yeah.
But here, we'll jump around because I really want to make sure Todd's piece gets shown before his iPad dies. But Todd, how is the Batmobile turning out?
Good. It just flashed me another warning, so let me turn my screen down real quick.
You're moving at flash speed.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Let's see. Yeah, there's the Batmobile.
Oh my
Damn.
god, dude.
Damn. My God, dude.
And then I actually didn't know what I was gonna draw today, so I'm happily surprised. And then there's my Batman in his Gothic Tron glory.
Dude.
Oh, I dig that.
I like that the Batmobile and the Batman seem to match up more or less. They look like they are the same universe. So
This is so
I got
damn
lucky.
cool, Todd.
It worked.
Mm.
Thanks, man. It's funny what I do each week. I always am like slightly thrown, and I wasn't sure what I was gonna draw today. So, yeah.
God,
This
man,
is
that is
awesome.
so cool. Like, I'm
Yeah.
almost half tempted to say, like, I recant my statement about Sean Gordon Murphy's Batmobile. Like, this is so cool. Could you zoom in on Batman's
Actually, you
face?
want
I was
my-
curious what you did with the mask.
Oh yeah. Actually, it's a skull, and I didn't know if it would work, and I put in a skull there. See it?
Oh,
That is so
dude.
cool.
Because I kept trying. So he's got this bat on his chest, and I kept trying to put the skull in the bat. And then I was looking at it, and I was like, "What if I just move that skull up over his face?" And then I was like, "Oh yeah, that kind of works."
So
I
cool.
could give him thanks, but I might make his eyeballs red. But I don't know. He seems like he has to have white eyes. Yeah,
Johnny, any
I'm not-
thoughts?
Oh yeah, I was actually going to bring this up sometime in the episode. Eyes, how everyone feels about the eyes. I'm
Yeah.
firmly white eyes, always white eyes, basically.
Always.
Oh, yes.
I'm never down for being able to see his normal person eyes.
So you don't like the Nolan version, in other words?
The
That's
what, sorry?
You don't like the Nolan version in that sense, Christian Bale?
Oh, I mean, I can't take it out on a film too much. They've never done it in
Right.
the film, but I'm really waiting for him to,
Yeah.
Yeah, there's.
Yeah.
I think
and
it's.
like do it well.
I know Johnny's a big fan of like just blacking out the eyes.
I do, yeah. I've been playing around with that. That is another thing I would like to see more in comics. Just
Yeah,
like
Johnny,
blacked out eyes.
if you still have that doodle from last night, when we go to your piece, I'd love for you to show that and talk about it. In this.
Oh man, I don't. I drew over it for this.
No.
It is.
Damn
this was
it.
We'll start
Damn it.
redrawing it. We have
You-
time.
Idiot.
All right, you know what? I'm gonna do it now. I'm gonna start doing it now.
Johnny just falls to peer pressure. You just got to push him a little bit.
Undo. Just
Yeah,
undo.
that's all it takes.
But yeah, there's a Walker. There's an artist. I think his name's Brad Walker, but I have to look back into it. He's been drawing Batman recently. I don't know what book he's working on, but he draws Batman's eyes as white lenses, and so you can clearly see
Yeah.
the human eyes underneath, which is a really interesting.
Oh yeah,
take.
yeah.
Yeah, there's like a little like rendering on it that lets you know it's not like his actual eyeballs. It is like part of the mask.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I'd never seen anybody do that take in comics before. Well, here, we'll hop around to Nate's because it looks like it dried off enough that he's working again. But Nate, that is
Yeah.
so year one.
Yeah,
I
it
love
didn't- Oh, thank you. Yeah, it didn't dry. I'm just going for it.
it.
But yeah, no, I'm pretty much done. I'm pretty happy with it actually. Yeah, Batman's just like I said, maybe violently saving this guy. Probably not, but yeah, he's definitely gonna need to go to the hospital. But he probably won't fall off this roof because it's Batman. He's like a superhero, so they say.
Yeah.
Technically.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty happy. I'm a big fan of like anytime I can not draw Batman's face and just like put all of it in shadow, and it's just
Yeah,
like
that's
this.
always so cool.
Because I mean, Batman has the best silhouette in any costume design in comics, maybe in anything. Period.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm a big fan of like anytime you can just black it out almost entirely.
Right.
it works so well, especially with Batman. I mean, it just works. But yeah, I like to do silhouettes now with like a little bit of highlight. When I was younger, I was like, silhouette means it's black, and so I would just do an outline and shade it in. And sometimes that works because that's in my like 13-year-old mind. I was like, that's what Frank Miller does. It works. But if you don't know what you're drawing, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm pretty happy with this one. And it's interesting because I went into it and I was like, I'm not actually really drawing that much of Batman, but I don't think that's a problem. I think storytelling wise, not drawing Batman can be kind of a strength.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, in a Batman story.
He lends himself to the Michael Myers philosophy of the shape, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you do the bat, like the shadow of the bat, like looming over like criminals, like mugging someone, it instantly graphically conveys what's
Reads.
happening. Like and it's the ominous like what is hanging out over their shoulder, but you already know it because you're reading a Batman book. But here, speaking of noir detectives, Johnny, let's check out that
Yeah.
murder scene.
Yeah, I think I'm all done. Let me see if I can flip it for you guys. That's the wrong way. That's the right way. Okay. So, yeah, I went real, quite minimalistic with the alleyway in the end. I got a real disgruntled looking Gordon going on there. Real disheveled.
I like
Yeah.
that.
He's not had time to shave. He's lit from the bottom, all spooky like.
I like his double chin.
yeah. He's looking really ugly. It's like when you flip your camera by accident. Yeah, got like a murder victim there. Little Riddler note stabbed into his chest.
Nice. Oh shit.
Oh yeah. I love the Batman cape. Yeah, I mean
Thanks, man. Yeah,
you always have such an excellent use of like black and white shapes. And I think they really work to render the sort of draping of the cape over his shoulders there. That's something that's always kind of like really tricky for Batman is because you want to just like black it out, but it's hard to do that without just entirely blacking out. And I think that you really did it, man.
Oh man, thanks. I also this was a tricky one because I decided it was going to be lit from like above, like in front of the two figures and above, and also obviously lit by the torch that Gordon's got. So like
Yeah.
there were bits when I struggled. Like Batman, his cape on that side is a lot more lit, but then I think I'm pretty happy with how I did the light of the torch just hitting his cape on a couple of areas there.
I think so. Since he's in front
good.
of Gordon, yeah, I think so.
I also had a lot of I've had this issue before where I started drawing someone with a torch, pointing it at the camera, and I was like, would you see any of the person, or would they just be a complete silhouette? I opted for a little bit of both. Gordon's face is pretty in shadow, but he's also being lit from above, so you see some of it. It was a weird one.
And that could depend also on the colors, like if you weren't coloring this piece, like that would be like you trusting the colorist a lot, I think.
Yeah, that would be a tough one.
You said last night you'd probably color the Superman piece. Are you going to color this one at all, or?
I think I might have to color this one, yeah. I think I'm going to have to get around to coloring both.
It needs it. It needs it.
Yeah. I want to color this, yeah. Because it's pretty complicated as well. It's pretty busy. I mean, despite the quite clean background, there's still a fair bit going on. So I think I might color it as well just to make it all clear.
But it also just works in black and white because the big, bold black shape that Batman makes.
Yeah. I'm flip-flopping on whether I'm going to color it. I'll probably give it a go.
I would be nervous, I think, drawing the figure in front of Gordon and Batman, but because you did such like big black shapes, it really, really works.
Oh yeah, thanks, man.
Oh, here, Johnny, do you want to showcase your Batman doodle? Just because we were
Oh
talking
yeah,
about
yeah.
your take on
Yeah,
the
hang on.
eyes.
The black eyes. So that was one of the ways of approaching
that's what you
Batman
were
that I
talking
played
about?
around with that I thought was kind of fun,
Wow.
kind of funny and silly looking.
Could you turn
So,
it for
like-
the camera?
Oh yeah,
Thank you.
that way. Yeah,
Perfect.
that way.
What's your explanation
Yeah,
for
man.
that? Is he wearing contacts, or is it just the lighting, or
I
or
think
do you
just
have one?
I don't really have one. I would just have him in shadow a lot. I kind of was playing around with the who was the artist we mentioned last time? Like a really old timey fun artist where he's always blue, but they always like put the front part of his face like up to his forehead in shadow. And
Oh,
I was playing around with the idea of maybe making that like a faceplate, and then the rest of the costume is
Yeah.
like cloth. So
Like it's
I
a
decided to draw
physical
it like that.
thing.
Huh.
Yeah. Like the black
Oh,
thing
right.
is not just an artistic choice, but it's like a metal plate on the front of his costume that I thought would be funny.
Right.
I love the idea that the lighting would always serve for his eyes to be blacked out. I love that.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, there's no explanation other than that you can often see his eyelids, but not his eyes.
Yeah. Well, because he's supposed to be scary, and not that the wide eyes, the like often like glowing wide eyes, are not scary, but it is frightening to have sort of a void there
Yeah,
instead
I
of
like
the eyes.
I
Yeah.
like that approach because I find it funny and creepy kind of at the same time.
Yeah, I think Johnny, I think your art, when you tackle things that have that almost masquerade / clown element to it, whether it's the Crimson
Yeah.
Clown,
Crimson Clown, yeah.
or your
I
Joker
still haven't
drawings,
posted that.
for the sake of the world, you haven't posted that.
Fuck that drawing.
God, absolutely terrifying. But I think you tackle that so flawlessly. The
Thanks, man.
the creepiness of that like masquerade ball / circus theme that you like kind of get through that like metal plate mask, you know.
Yeah, I'm going. It's a very masquerade-y kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Kind of Venetian.
Yes, absolutely. Man, you kill it.
Thanks, man.
Well, here, guys, we'll hop around to my piece real quick before wrapping out the episode. So, I have a lot of the hatching done on the figures. I don't think I'm going to do anything more from the pen side of things. I'm pretty much just going to leave it as is. But for the buildings, I'm actually hatching in. I don't know how clear you're going to be able to see it. This is all just like hatched in to give it some level of value. And it's kind of bleeding off into the white of the city lights below. I thought that was a good way to tackle the nighttime vibe. So I have a couple of the buildings here. Oh, thanks, man. So I have a couple of the
I'm
buildings done.
super excited for this one.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the passion is coming through on this one. Like just knowing, like you love Batman. I love this take on Batman, the Dark Knight Returns version, and of course Gotham's fun. So I think doing this hatching style is going to give Gotham the gritty feel that it needs, unintentionally, but it'll work out well. And like I was saying before, like me drawing buildings, I do them very askew and not directionally, logically. Like they don't logically make sense in this field, but I'm hoping that when you look at the drawing, you're just going to be like, oh yeah, it's the city in the background. Like you're not even going to think about how the street grid is laid out.
Yeah.
And I think that also helps with like making it feel packed, you know. But yeah, so I'm pretty much just gonna do Oh, what, Todd?
I was just gonna say, how much were you looking at the Frank Miller piece when you did that, or were you? You know what I mean? Because
not
it's
at
after
all.
that spike, right? Not at all. Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just it's a good evocation of that. The one page,
Right.
of the two sort of like
Yeah.
flying over the city. Yeah, that's
I almost, I
It
almost
reminds
did that
me of
image too.
something that someone would have done for the when Master Race came out, the first issue of Master Race, and there was like 100
All
or
the variants. Yeah.
Variants.
variant covers. It reminds me of something someone might have done for that. Like if you had got the opportunity to do a variant cover for that.
Well, thanks, guys. That's such a huge appraisal of my work here. So thank you. But like I was saying a little bit at the end of part 1, kind of evolving my take on Batman. Here was just the closest reference to grab.
Yeah.
Into that futuristic old man that's 250 pounds heavier, but just an absolute tank of a human being.
Yeah, and I think that's important for like Dark Knight Returns is that like if you were drawing it, draw your Batman aged. You know?
Exactly. Because like I don't want to draw Frank Miller's Batman. Like I don't want to like the classic like hunched over like pose cover.
Yeah, yeah.
I've seen a lot of artists cover that with like different characters. Like I've seen one version where it's like Iron Man instead, and it's cool, but like that's Frank's, you know. Like I almost want to like let Frank's art, like they almost mimic it from like line to line, like one-to-one parallel, just a different character, which is cool. Like, and I totally respect it, and it clearly shows a level of craft. But like personally, like I wouldn't want to tackle that. I'd want to do kind of like Nate said. I want to evoke his Frank Miller future Batman, but I don't want it to be his future Frank Miller Batman. Like, I don't want it to be like a swipe of a panel, even if it like kind of feels like them. I don't want to like one for one necessarily.
I think that's the way to go. And I'm a big fan of like shitty Dark Knight. Have you guys seen that?
Oh
I'm a big fan of shitty Dark Knight. Yeah. Or it's just the book, but they just redrew it.
It's a fanzine, Todd.
Like Jim Mahfood, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jim Mahfood, a bunch of other artists did like pages for shitty Dark Knight, and it's just like
Oh my god, that's great.
recreations of Dark Knight pages to make the whole story.
Yeah.
And it is incredible.
Yeah, it's great.
Matt, on this whole topic, I think you did the same thing extremely well. Of like, it's clearly that scene of the Dark Knight, but like it's by no means like, oh, it's Frank Miller. Like that is clearly a Matt Battaglia drawing, like in style and form and layout. Like it's very you, but it's also atmospherically that story, and I think you did that really well as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I try not to sort of ape him too much. I just scan it and I'll pop it up into the Discord.
Yeah, I kind of wish now that maybe we could have gone more specific and done like a Dark Knight episode. And I'm thinking about like Dark Knight scenes that maybe I would have drawn. And like, and we could definitely still do that.
I'm not saying we can't do a follow up because I'm all for
to do
that.
like our own. We definitely like we're acting like we're never gonna do a Batman episode ever again. Yeah, we're gonna do a Batman episode.
When the views come in, and this trumps every other episode because it's Batman. It's gonna call for a sequel.
Yeah, this is the Batman podcast now. We've just gone in.
Yeah. We'll start a sequel.
Do Punisher.
Yes, absolutely. We talked about it a little bit, but because Matt is such a huge fan, we're gonna have to tackle Punisher in the near future and have him back on the show because Matt Battaglia, our special guest. Yeah, dude, it was such a pleasure having you. It was so much fun to bring you in.
It was a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Y'all
Let's do this again.
Like and subscribe and comment and all that shit, or else we'll, ghost Matt forever. If you want to see him again, like and subscribe or he'll disappear forever.
But of course, guys, make sure you check out the description below. You can find links to all of our social media platforms, including the Ink Drink Think Instagram, where you can find all of these finished pieces, as well as Matt's website and Matt's Instagram page. So you can find all of Matt's bodies of work anywhere you can find it on the internet. You'll be able to find it in the description below. Anyways, guys, this has been Michael Pickard, joined by Johnny Wise, Nate Wells, Todd Blackwood, and special guest Matt Battaglia. Make sure you guys tune in to episode 11. Might get a little bit force sensitive.